I am going to show you how to build a smart kitchen island that comes with smart lighting and a light strip that is able to show dozens of colors, a retractable power plug, a wireless charger, a touchscreen monitor, and enough space to store your cutlery and kitchen gadgets. You will be able to browse your favorite recipes, control your smart lighting, and play music via AirPlay devices. The video is split into 9 chapters that show each step of the process. Apart from the usual screwdriver, you will need the following tools for this project. A workbench. I am using mostly Festool. Shown here is their MFT3 table that allows very flexible clamping options. A sliding compound miter saw. I am using the smaller Capex KS60. A plunge router. Festool's middle tier OF1400 has sufficient power for the work we will be doing. A parallel edge guide that allows exact positioning of the router. A jigsaw like the Carvex PS420 EBQ. A track saw. I am using the Festool TS55R EBQ with an additional 1080mm rail. A biscuit joiner like the original Lamello Classic X, which is especially suitable for chipboard joining. Finally, always use a dust extractor like the CTL26E. Start by using an 80 by 60 cm IKEA meted base cabinet frame with drawers. Then add another meted base cabinet, this time using a 40 by 60 cm size. On the opposite side, add a 40 by 37 cm size cabinet. This cabinet will use a door instead of drawers, as we will hide the technology for the kitchen island in this space. Finally, add an 80 by 37 cm base cabinet. This kitchen island occupies a space of approximately 120 by 100 cm. In order to achieve a suitable working height, we will not be using the standard meted legs that have a height of 8 cm, but rather IKEA's Eket legs that are adjustable between 1.9 to 2.4 cm. Using 4 IKEA Ringholt front doors with a size of 140 by 40 cm, we will be running a groove cut alongside the front of the doors with a depth of approximately 9 mm. The cut will be 2 cm away from the edge of the Ringholt front and will be used to add plexiglass bars around the frame later on. Make sure to adjust the plunge depth and the exact distance from the front of the doors on a piece of scrap material before you start working on the IKEA doors. A parallel guide will help you to achieve repeatability for all of the 4 doors. Next we will be doing miter cuts across all 4 doors in order to put them together to a single frame on top of the kitchen island. Be sure to take measurements for each of the doors when calculating the exact 45-degree angle, as I found IKEA's doors to vary in depth quite a bit, causing gaps in the frame that I had to fill later on. Make sure to fasten both the workpiece and the rail using clamps to achieve maximum precision. In order to join the single pieces, we will be using Lamello's biscuit joiner system with size 20 biscuits. Mark the exact cut positions on both sides of the wood to be joined and use the Lamello to make the cuts. The final pieces should look similar to this result. It's important that the pieces fit at least around the visible part that will not be hidden later by the plexiglass. For the frame to be glued together correctly, I recommend the use of a band clamp that will hold the frame while the glue can set. Let the glue sit for at least 24 or even better 48 hours without moving the piece. As the screws for attaching the frame to the cabinets would hit the plexiglass frames, we need to move the metal profile 2 cm inwards on both sides of the kitchen island. After removing the blue protective cover, the top frame should look similar to this. Miter cuts again, this time with the plexiglass bars. Make sure to clean the miter saw after each cut, as the plexiglass chips are not easily removed by the vacuum. To get a clean cut, I am using a special plexiglass blade for the Capex miter saw with a reduced speed setting of 5000 RPM. Be sure to measure the exact distance, as we don't want any gaps in the final plexiglass frame. I didn't want the weight of the countertop to sit on the plexiglass alone, so I used some scrap countertop and leftover of a cabinet backplane to create pieces that are exactly 0.2 mm higher than the plexiglass. Using some scrap material, I created 7 cm wide bars that allowed precise positioning of the pieces. This will not only serve to bear the weight of the countertop, but we will also attach the LED light strip to it. I am using Spax screws to attach these bars to the top of the kitchen island. Countersink drill comes in to make them sit flush with the surface. In order for the bars to be aligned correctly, small scrap plates are used that keep them at a 4 cm distance from the plexiglass. Now that the bars are attached to the top, the light strip is secured to the bars with zip ties. One of the parts that distinguishes this kitchen island is the 24-inch touchscreen monitor. The one used here is rated water resistant according to IP65 and uses tough Gorilla Glass. First, the exact position of the monitor is marked on the countertop. Then the router is carefully positioned using the parallel guides, paying close attention to the position of the router's blade. This way, milling out the exact size of the monitor to a fraction of a millimeter becomes possible. At first the boundaries of the monitor are milled out, then the inner area of the countertop is removed, plowing away the excess material row by row. As a final step, I used my jigsaw to create a rectangular cutout where the electronics of the monitor will reside in. The monitor is not screwed in place, which makes it easier to take it out for servicing once the kitchen island is fully assembled. Next we are going to install a retractable power socket and a wireless charging port, as I want to use the kitchen island as a charging station for my smartphone and want to be able to power kitchen tools from it. The power socket being quite large, holes must be drilled in both the countertop as well as the white ringholt board, and these two need to be properly aligned. A paper-based jig makes it easy to mark the exact spot where to place the pilot drill bit of the hole saw. First, an 8mm hole is drilled into the ringholt board where the pilot drill bit will be placed later. Second, the worktop is put into the final position on top of the plexiglass. Now a hole is drilled from below. I basically use the initial 8mm hole as my guide. Now that we have created both 8mm holes, we can use the hole saw to create the actual cutouts. The installation of the charging port is far easier, as a hole is only required in the worktop. The power socket and charging port can be installed once the assembly of the worktop is completed. In order for the PC that drives the kitchen island not to overheat, I am going to add a cooling fan above the cabinet that contains the electronics. The one I am using comes with a 3-speed controller and can be plugged to any USB port. It will draw air from side of the kitchen island and vent it under the countertop. I am cutting out the opening using my fine oscillator. Alternatively, you may also use a jigsaw to do this. The fan itself will not be mounted directly to the board, but will be acoustically decoupled using this AlphaCool anti-noise silicone frame to which the fan will be attached. Hidden behind a door, a power strip allows the LED lighting, monitor, fan and PC to be powered. Let's take a look at the electronics that will be hidden by the countertop. Here we have got the hole for the retractable power plugs as well as the fan. This LED smart power supply can be switched remotely and powers an LED strip on the side of the kitchen island which will illuminate the glassware below nicely. The inner smart power supply also can be switched remotely and drives the LED strip behind the plexiglass bars. These are the connectors for the touchscreen monitor, power, USB connection plus remote on-off switch. Let's move to the final assembly. I used 2 IKEA worktop pieces, as they are cheaper as a custom-made larger worktop. As these have veneered edges, we first need to make 2 cuts to achieve a clean edge where we can glue these 2 together to one single piece. I again used lamellos to connect the 2 worktops and used painter's masking tape so no wood glue would spoil the surface. In order to pull the 2 worktops together, I used a special type of worktop connector from Italiana Ferramenta that can be pulled tight with a standard portable drill. I used my router to drill the 25mm hole for the worktop connectors and the groove that connects both worktops. This is the final worktop in one piece. Now we just need to adjust the length so it fits perfectly onto the kitchen island. IKEA provides veneers with their worktop so we can cover the unfinished edge. We now need to move the worktop to its final position. I wanted it to be slightly larger than the ringholt boards and added 2.5 cm to each side of the worktop in relation to the ringholt board. As a final step, the worktop needs to be attached to the ringholt board. I again used a couple of spax screws to mount it from below. That's it, all done. Let's take a look at the software that I am using. I am using Windows 10 as operating system. A few years back, I ripped all my CDs in a lossless format and use Album Player as a jukebox software. Album Player shows all covers, is optimized for touchscreen use and provides a multitude of functions making it one of the best players available. TuneBlade comes in to connect wirelessly to my stereo. It uses the Apple's AirPlay protocol for transferring data and connects to most receivers that support AirPlay. In my case, that's a Yamaha surround receiver. It may require some tweaking to make it work, but the sound quality is top-notch. When it comes to lights, I use Philips Hue system for smart lighting. Huetro for Hue is a Windows app that allows full control of all lights and switches attached to the Hue bridge. You are able to control all lights at once, predefined groups or individual lights, just as you would from the Hue app. That's all folks. Please like this video if you found it useful.